Welcome back to Garden Studio. I'm Heather, a gardener and designer in upstate South Carolina, Zone 8A. We are in the very beginning of February, and each month we are doing a garden tour to show you what's going on around our property. This month, not much has happened more since January, so we thought it would be fun to do a different kind of tour, a tour of the sustainable systems that we have here. So we are right in suburbia. We don't have some idyllic countryside setting, but there are a few things that we do to try to reduce waste and reuse things from our kitchen. I cook a lot. We have some chickens. You'll see those in a minute. So I'm going to take you through 4 different things that we do. We compost. Got my trusty composting bucket here. We have chickens. We recycle all of our leaves from our property and turn them into leaf mold that mulches the garden. And we capture some water off a shed in a rain barrel. Welcome to the compost. This trusty bucket is the collection for the compost from the kitchen. It lives in my freezer and is well worth the space devoted to it. I don't have some open container or even a sealed container under the sink or sitting on the counter being smelly and attracting flies. This is in the freezer and I don't have to think about it until it's full. When it's full, I bring it out here and I dump it into Bay 1. Now, this is a very rudimentary compost setup. It's mesh wire, fence posts, and literally just some black fence. And we have 3 bays. Bay 1 is fresh material. You can still see a lot of recognizable stuff in here at this point. There's eggshells, organic material. The top fluffy stuff is chicken poop and bedding from our coop that will break down over time. We'll harness the benefits of the nitrogen in the chicken poop to make a really rich compost. We do not turn our compost or monitor the temperature. So I don't put meat or dairy into the compost because those things can have bacteria that becomes dangerous if you don't totally kill it. And we're more of a dump and forget it kind of compost system people. So we don't want the headache of trying to make sure we're making totally safe compost by introducing anything that would jeopardize that. Bay 2 is about 6 to 12 months after Bay 1. Over time, this is something we'll mulch the garden with. You can turn it. That is probably best practice. Bay 3 is a large garden material. This is not going to break down easily by itself. It will have to be pulled out and run over with the mulching blade of the lawnmower, and then it will go into Bay 1. So this isn't actively composting. This is just a holding bay for larger pieces of things that will become compost after one more step occurs. This is our mobile chicken coop. We have had it for a couple of years now. We built it ourselves based on plans by Green Willow Homestead. I'll put a link to those in the episode notes. We have chickens for 3 main sustainable reasons. The first one is the most obvious, the eggs, of course. We eat a lot of eggs. Chickens don't lay constantly. They don't lay as much in the winter, but so far, we've still gotten a few eggs here and there in the darkest months, and they're ramping back up production now as the light increases. The second reason is for the chicken poop. The chicken poop is really high in nitrogen, and you can see it's not very clean right now, but this is where we're getting it. They stay up here at night, and every weekend come in and clear this out, and it will go straight onto the compost to start becoming fertilizer. Oh, hey. The third reason is ground clearing. We have learned a lot about the destructive power of chickens over the last couple of years that we've had them. They will clear to bare dirt almost anywhere that they're kept. So we are planning to harness that. We've had a couple of different versions of the chickens, and I may do a whole episode on this at some point. We've let them free range. We didn't love the poop everywhere all over the driveway, them jumping in the cars and trying to come in the house. They're really pretty social. That was a little bit too much for us. The second version is this smaller enclosure, but we've realized they've really scratched everything down to dirt, and we don't want to give up quite that much ground to them. So Rev 3 is going to be a long, narrow fence along our property boundary. We have an issue on this property boundary with a couple of different invasive things that, if left unchecked, will start to take over. So we plan to harness the power of the chickens to really scratch the ground down to dirt to just clear the ground for us and almost keep us a DMZ line between the nice stuff we plan to plant and the area where the invasive material is the worst. So that will be the final, hopefully final place for the chickens, but we've just tried a few things, and as we learn, we refine where we want to use them so that they serve our needs. This barrel is a rain capturing barrel. The water off the shed roof from the potting shed comes into this gutter that's angled with a hole that dumps straight into the top of this bucket. It is an open top, but we have put mosquito netting on it just to make sure that we don't have an issue with mosquitoes in the summer if there's standing water in here. This is a reclaimed pickle barrel, which we wanted to be sure that whatever we used was food safe. We're putting this water on our vegetable garden, and we're giving it straight to the chickens. So we love knowing that they're not getting any chemically treated city water. The chickens aren't. We filter our indoor water for us, but for the chickens, they get rainwater straight from the sky. So there's a spigot down here. We'll fill up our watering cans over here. The other water source we have is across the yard. The other water source we have is across the yard. So this is convenient, and we're saving a little bit of water. Of course, not a huge volume. Eventually, maybe we'll get a bigger one, but it has been convenient, and we love knowing that we're getting a little bit of the power of rain captured right here. This is our leaf collection system. We call it the leaf hugs. We started with one and then had to expand to a second one. We plan to put a gate on them, and what we mean by that is just a little more fence that can go across the front and hold the leaves in now that they've gotten so full. This is one season of leaf collection from the whole yard. We have quite a few mature pecan trees, and they are the main leaves that were getting dropped. For a while, we put them out by the road like everybody else in America, but we realized, you know what? Those are really valuable organic material that we could keep on the property, let them break down, and then have a layer to mulch the garden. It's not going to be as rich a compost as the other original compost I showed you with kitchen waste and chicken poop, but it will be an organic mulching material that after a season, they're broken down enough to top dress the garden. It can be so simple. There are so many people doing really awesome stuff and a lot more than we are. But the whole point of today is that you can do something. I hope the map showing you where things are in relation to the others is a little bit helpful to get you oriented. We've made an effort to make one side of our yard kind of the utility side, the more farm side. The chickens, the compost, the rain barrel, the leaf hugs, those are all grouped together so that they can be out of sight and also just conveniently located or the things that relate. Thanks so much for watching. Happy gardening.